Story 1. Putting your feet up on the dashboard while sitting in the passenger seat of a car can be extremely dangerous. Look up the X-rays of people who did that when the airbags deployed. It resembles a pile of random bone fragments scattered over a pelvis. Story 2. Inhaling helium can be dangerous, just like with most inhalants. However, people often do not take it seriously because it alters their voice in a humorous way. Story 3. Driving on the highway. Every day, millions of people crowd highways in metal machines. Thousands die every year, but we all just keep driving at 80 miles per hour on two-lane highways. It is crazy how dangerous this is, even for the cautious driver. Story 4. Working on a ladder can be dangerous. I have witnessed some serious accidents in construction, including emergency airlifts. Story 5. You are in a 3,000-pound vehicle traveling at 60 miles per hour toward another 3,000-pound vehicle at a combined speed of 120 miles per hour. The only thing protecting you is both drivers' absolute belief that the quart of yellow paint applied down the middle of the road actually means something. Story 6. Honestly, asthma is misunderstood by many. People often believe it is just shortness of breath, but it can be life-threatening. Story 7. Having weak passwords and no two-factor authentication is a significant risk. Many companies' security measures are inadequate, and if you do not take steps to protect yourself, your information is likely to be stolen easily. Story 8. Aerated water can be deadly. If you fall into it and there is nothing to grab onto, it is an immediate death sentence for you and anyone who jumps in to save you. The air in the water reduces buoyancy, making it impossible to swim or stay afloat. Story 9. Home gas generators. I don't understand how so many people each year fail to realize that you cannot install them in your house at all, ever. Story 10. Isolating isolation. Kissing babies. My friend contracted herpes as a newborn because a family member kissed her during an outbreak that was invisible. This is not necessarily a deadly example, but I could go on. Story 11. The risks of circumcision are significant. An overly aggressive doctor can cause excessive damage that cannot be repaired once it has occurred. Few parents take the time to review a doctor's prior work or inquire about the extent of tissue removal, as circumcision practices can vary widely. Even when performed perfectly, the procedure can still be damaging. Restoring my foreskin has greatly improved my condition. Story 12. Isolating isolation. Kissing babies. My friend contracted herpes as a newborn because a family member kissed her during an outbreak that was invisible. This is not necessarily a deadly example, but I could go on. Story 13. Being overweight. I see individuals in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are overweight and think, it's just a matter of time. Story 14. Rice produces a very dangerous toxin if not cooled and stored correctly after cooking. It is one of the most dangerous, comparable to botulism. Story 15. Apparently, kangaroos are formidable animals. In a previous discussion, I mentioned wanting to fight a kangaroo just to see if they are actually good fighters. The responses I received were enlightening and made me think, I could still take one. However, I realized I was incredibly mistaken. A kangaroo would not only overpower me, but could also cause serious injury with its sharp claws. I acknowledge when I'm wrong. They are not just cute creatures. They are considered highly dangerous based on what I've been informed. Story 16. Not taking today seriously affects your choices. People waste years of their lives and then wonder why, as they get older, things turned out the way they did and nothing materialized. It doesn't happen overnight. It's little by little until you have nothing to show for it. The lack of urgency and discipline is dangerous. Your life becomes what you do every day, not just sometimes with half-hearted effort. Story 17. Your blood pressure can sneak up on you over time. Stress, reduced sleep, poor diet, alcohol, and many other unhealthy habits can elevate blood pressure, making it challenging to bring it back down. Story 18. Driving is easily one of the most dangerous activities many of us engage in almost daily. Yet, people often believe it is a good time to mess around on their phones, apply makeup, eat, and more. I maintain a healthy distrust of all cars. Story 19. Someone in my family drives recklessly every day. In addition, this person drinks heavily, and I know they are not completely sober when they drive. It is terrifying for everyone else on the road. Story 20. Iron supplements can pose serious risks. Accidental iron overdose is a leading cause of poisoning deaths in children, especially those under 6 years old. These supplements are easily accessible, commonly used by new mothers, and children may mistake them for candy. As someone with anemia, I have always been cautious about keeping my iron pills away from my nieces and nephews. I eventually switched from pills to a liquid supplement, which is also easier to absorb. When I was younger, my little brother sneaked into my purse because he had a headache and found a bottle of pain reliever. I had been storing my iron pills in that bottle. He took 4, and the next day he complained of feeling heavy and sluggish. After that, I became much more careful. Story 21. Lack of a support system often results in awful, abusive relationships with parents and siblings. This can lead to hyperindependence, loneliness, and depression, causing the individual to believe they deserve such treatment. Story 22. Eating while driving is as dangerous as texting while driving, yet some people become very defensive about it. Story 23. Pad-mounted transformers are the green boxes often seen in neighborhoods. The voltage and current flowing through these boxes can easily be fatal, yet it is not uncommon to see children and adults sitting and playing on them. Story 24. Energy drinks. You might think you can handle drinking them at your young age. However, as you get older, they can have negative effects on your health. By then, it may be too late. Story 25. Texting while driving is everywhere. It is primarily adults who engage in this behavior. These individuals are allowed to vote. Story 26. Guns should be secured. A moment of anger or too much alcohol can lead to mistakes that ruin lives. My former neighbor, a decent young man nearing graduation from trade school, had a confrontation with his brother, who struggled with substance abuse. In a moment of impulse, he took a gun from the kitchen counter and ended up in prison. If the firearm had been stored in a safe, it might have prevented the situation and given him time to calm down. Story 27. Driving on ice. I lost my aunt a year ago in a week because she lost control on the ice at the worst possible time and was struck headfirst at over 100 kilometers per hour, leaving behind her 4 boys, all under 12. Story 28. Cows are considered the most dangerous animals in Britain. Story 29. Leaving trash outside instead of throwing it away in the dumpster is not acceptable. I live near a wooded area where I often see raccoons, possums, and deer. I saw a fox once, and there are about 4 stray cats here. I'm fine with that. Nothing hostile has happened, and they always keep to themselves. One day, management informed everyone that a bear had recently been spotted in the area. I appreciated the heads up. The very next morning, I opened the front door to leave the apartment complex for work, and there was a bag of trash sitting right there. I took a step back to read the note left on the wall again, just to confirm it said a bear had been seen in the area. I bet someone saw this note and thought, "No way," and just left the trash there. That person is irresponsible. This situation is compounded by someone always leaving the public front door wide open, hoping the stray cats will come inside one day. Story 30. Anything related to newborns is crucial to understand. You cannot give them water because their kidneys are too small, which can lead to water intoxication. You should also avoid giving them honey, as it may contain spores that can cause a serious illness known as botulism. Additionally, hugging and kissing newborns if you are not immediate family can lead to respiratory syncytial virus, which can be fatal. The first birthday is significant because the first year of life has the highest mortality rate. Sometimes parents do everything possible to keep their babies alive, yet they still may pass away. Following guidelines like vaccinations, ensuring they sleep on their backs, providing proper nutrition while avoiding harmful foods may not guarantee safety. Nature can be harsh. Story 31. Many people scoff, but I have taught myself to look both ways before entering a one-way street. People do not realize how cars can be deadly weapons if one is not careful. Story 32. Tipping a vending machine can be dangerous. In the United States, each year, 6 people die from this activity, and 5 of them are insurance appraisers checking if a vending machine can be tipped. Story 33. Trains. On the Darwin Awards subreddit, there are many cases of train-related injuries and fatalities. They even refer to it as the apex predator. Story 34. People who are extremely charming are often viewed more favorably. It is perplexing why socially awkward individuals are considered more dangerous than the charming person who has many friends. Story 35. Liver injury or death from acetaminophen affects 50,000 people each year who visit emergency rooms due to acetaminophen-related issues. For some individuals, the recommended daily maximum is actually toxic and can cause harm. It should never be mixed with alcohol or other medications that stress the liver. Additionally, it is very easy to accidentally exceed the recommended dose, whether by ingesting it in cold medicine or by taking doses too close together without carefully reading the dosing instructions. Story 36. I work with spray glues and paints, so it's important to wear a mask and long sleeves. These products contain high amounts of toluene and isocyanate, as well as small amounts of methylene chloride. Prolonged exposure can severely impact your quality of life or, in the worst case, be fatal. Story 37. When replacing fluids for your vehicle, ensure you properly bleed the old fluids and safely suspend the car with blocks or jack stands. Avoid getting crushed by your car. Story 38. Children swimming. It doesn't matter how good you think your child is at swimming. You need to be actively watching them. Older children watching younger children is not sufficient. Story 39. Mothers using baby jewelry, especially the beaded kind, frequently brought their children to the emergency room. I encountered many cases related to unsafe jewelry for babies. Story 40. I once knew a man who fell off a ladder while on the 3rd rung. He hit his head and experienced memory loss, a speech impediment, issues with walking, and could no longer drive. He has since passed away. I am now more cautious when using ladders. Story 41. Overdosing on Tylenol is a common method that people use for suicide. Please do not consider this option. It leads to a slow and painful death. Tylenol works by damaging your liver, preventing your blood from filtering out toxins. These toxins accumulate and gradually shut down your organs. If your stomach cannot be pumped before the drug is digested, the consequences can be fatal or lead to severe debilitation. Story 42. I nearly lost my husband recently when I slipped and fell backwards down a flight of stairs. He landed with his head against the wall. The doctor in the emergency room said that the 2 biggest things she learned from her job were: 1. Do not live in a house with stairs. Do not ride a motorbike. Since the second point is already well covered in this comment section, I will contribute the first. Story 43. Semi-trucks pose significant risks on the road. People often risk their lives for a mere few seconds of drive time. According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, in accidents involving trucks and cars, passengers in the car face a 94% likelihood of fatality. I read this statistic on their website years ago, and I cannot imagine it has changed much. A fully loaded semi-truck can weigh up to 80,000 pounds. Story 44. Pressure, water, and air are intense on their own, but steam is terrifying. You hear stories of people getting sliced in half by steam jets. Story 45. Not getting yearly mammograms can be concerning. Cancer can spread quickly, and the earlier it is detected, the better the chance of survival. I know a few women my age, 50, who have never had a mammogram, even though it is recommended to start at age 40. Story 46. Snow has not completely melted on the road. Many people in the area were still driving at or above the speed limit, despite the presence of snowy slush. Story 47. Driving is one of the most dangerous activities most people engage in on any given day, yet many approach it with a sense of nonchalance. Story 48. Depending on artificial intelligence and chat models in everything, you can't even introduce yourself, understand your feelings, or answer a simple message without AI. Teenagers and even adults are becoming less capable. It's affecting our cognitive abilities. Story 49. Choking during sex has received increased attention in the media lately, but many people engage in it without sufficient knowledge, which is very dangerous. Story 50. Getting on a ladder, fall damage is real. My fall arrest course indicated that a 4-foot fall can be fatal if you land in the wrong spot. Step ladders are especially dangerous because they are easy to tip over. Story 51. Wearing your helmet while biking, motorcycling, or skating is essential. One of my friends suffered a severe concussion that affected his motor function. I hoped that, like seatbelts, wearing a helmet would become the norm. The way people cling to their beliefs is astonishing. I remember my friend's dad saying he would never wear a seatbelt because he believed it would have killed him. However, as a first responder, I witnessed many deaths. How many do you think were related to seatbelt use compared to those without? Story 52. Severe weather can lead some individuals to believe they will hear a warning siren during a storm, even when the siren is miles away. Story 53. Driving in general. Drivers on their phones can't maintain safe distances between cars, especially when merging. They often drive recklessly, exceeding the speed limit by over 20 miles per hour and not using turn signals. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.